toll free.
You're listening to Screen Break with Martin Kelner and Will Buckley.
Hello again, once more, and it's time for Screen Break with myself and Will Buckley, two of the most respected sport on TV journalists in our own minds, and it's a delight to be with you once more. Will, hello.
Absolutely, Martin.
Yeah.
Hello, Martin.
It's always a delight. And we're calling it Screen Break because it's about what we can see on our screens. I can't see anything at the moment because my Sky Q box has let me down. And Sky have a very once you start going through those...
A Q box? What's a Q box?
Well, it's so one TV, the main TV is in the front room.
Forget you've got multiple TVs for your afternoon game show habit.
Precisely. We've got two televisions so that I can keep in touch with everything on the television because...
More televisions than cars?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've got two TVs.
That's a sign of sanity, I think.
I think it's a sign of poverty. I've got two TVs, one of which is in the sort of kitchen diner, let's call it that. I think when they fitted it, they called it a farmhouse kitchen. But, you know, it's not...
In the middle of Wakefield.
Precisely, it's not a fucking farmhouse. But anyway, so they call it a farmhouse kitchen. And we have one television in there, which my wife sort of watches in the evening.
So it's your marriage at the separate TV stage?
Totally. We're still sleeping together, but we're not watching television.
Thank you for sharing that one.
Yes, we're not...
Does your snoring while you're watching your TV put her off watching her TV?
No, not so much the snoring. I think it's the dribbling. Because what often happens is, as any
surely you don't dribble all the way into the farmhouse kitchen.
Have you heard Norm Macdonald's bit about Pee Wee Herman? Have you heard his bit?
No, tell me. I love Norm.
We both do, absolutely. But you see, Pee Wee Herman was wanking in an adult cinema. Yeah, he got arrested for, I don't know who was going to cause offence to in an adult cinema, but he said he shouldn't have been arrested for that. I think it was causing public offence or whatever the crime is in America.
Public indecency. Probably.
Yeah, public indecency. So he was cracking one off in this cinema. And Norm Macdonald said he shouldn't be arrested for that because if you're in an adult cinema, that's just like applause. Which was very wise, and I think the same would apply to
a standing ovation almost.
Yeah, quite literally. The same obviously would apply to Gerald Sinstadt.
I don't know that. You pulled a name out from nowhere and a story I don't know.
Well, that's why we're calling this Screen Break. Well, I've had stern words with you, haven't I? That because it's called Screen Break, a certain portion of it, at least, ought to be about what we see on the screen. It doesn't have to be about sport on TV particularly. Although I did watch the England match.
Did you?
Did you watch that? Yeah, I've almost got out of the habit of watching England matches because, you know, when it's not the World Cup or the Euros, they're usually very tedious. But last night, rather good, and as a Chelsea fan, Will, you should be upset that they've offloaded Noni Madueke to Arsenal.
Cool kid. Yes, very sad to see him go.
Yeah, he looked good. He looked really good yesterday. But anyway, that's by the by. It sort of is by the by, but it is something you could have seen on your screen, and I did. However, in the middle of it all, Sky are advertising wildly this thing called The Paper. Are you familiar with the...
I've seen the adverts, yeah.
And you know it's the sort of bastard grandchild of Ricky Gervais's show, The Office. And I did notice that they get a credit on it. Ricky Gervais and Stephen Merchant are credited as something like executive producers. And I thought, there's two smart people. They're still getting paid for an idea which... Obviously, The American Office. Did you ever watch that with... I don't know why I'm asking. I know you probably didn't. But no, I don't. You're an oldie Tony and you don't watch these...
That's got nothing to do with it.
Well, I think you...
That's lame.
You're too classy in your own mind to watch, watch American sitcoms. But The American Office, which had Steve Carell in it, and he's very good... But it went further and further. The idea of the original, if you ever watch episodes of the classic Office, the Ricky Gervais thing, you know that it's a spoof of fly on the wall documentaries. And fly on the wall documentaries used to be just that. You may be familiar with, I doubt if you ever watched it, but you may be familiar with The Family, which was a family in Reading. And I think their marriage broke up as a result of the fly on. Yeah, it was a proper fly on the wall documentary.
Right. Separate TVs, were they at that stage or not?
No, this was way before. This was the days when, what I like to call the days before yoghurt. People don't seriously. Yogurt.
When did yogurt start?
Yogurt started in the 90s. It's not quite the days before yogurt. I'll read you a letter that was in the Times.
Written by you?
No, written by Nicholas Hind of Felsted in Essex.
Okay.
So here's what Nicholas has written. You have to bear in mind that readers of the Times are almost exclusively over 60. Letter writers to the Times are almost exclusively over 80. And that's just from my own observation. Anyway, this is what Nicholas says. Sometime in the 1950s, I did an exchange with a Dutch boy. There's been a letter thread all about exchange things that we used to go on, and pen pals. We used to do that years ago. Yeah, I had a girl in Mannheim that I used to write to.
Did you? Did she write back?
She did. We had a little pen pal relationship. Hannelore Merbus was her name. M-O umlaut B-U-S. Hannelore Merbus from Mannheim in Germany.
Can you do an umlaut when you try and Facebook stalk her or whatever?
Oh, you can do the umlaut now, yeah. You just hold down the letter and then you can do an umlaut in whatever accent you want. Have you never written to any foreigners? Yeah, you can do that. Anyway, this is a guy like me from the 1950s. He said, I did an exchange with a Dutch boy. At supper on my first night in The Hague, pudding was, there's pudding, there you go, clearly over 70 at least. Pudding was yoghurt and a biscuit. I had never heard of yoghurt and thought it tasted foul, and we hadn't heard of yoghurt. I went to university in 1968, and
pre-yoghurt.
No, it was yoghurt. I'll tell you what was coming in. Choc top yoghurt had just been invented. This was Eden Vale yoghurt, and it was available in the canteen at university. But pre that, yoghurt.
Do you remember your first yoghurt?
I remember my first yoghurt. Yeah, it was it was my first flavoured yoghurt, and plain yoghurt. It was for vegetarians. Nobody used to eat plain yoghurt in the.
What about those little French ones?
No, we'd not seen little French yoghurts in the 60s and 70s.
I think we did.
No, mid to late 70s maybe. Mid to late 70s, I would say. You're talking about little Danone, those things, yeah.
The smaller ones, they're about an inch high, and a little wrap. You unwrapped it.
Yes, that would be 70s at the earliest. Yeah. You enjoying your coffee this morning?
I'm enjoying my coffee.
Yeah, you see, we can hear all that. Well, anyway, time before yoga. What were we talking about? We were talking about
no idea.
Me neither.
I think we. It's interesting use of we. I think you're using we in the first person plural there, Martin.
Yeah, let's talk about Joseph Nguyen.
Now tell me about. I'm surprised that you had a quick look at who he was. Yeah. You're a bit old to be looking at self-help books, Martin.
They always amuse me.
They always amuse you. This is sort of what might have been. You think, I wonder if I'd lived my life like that. You could do a memoir in a sort of different way.
Yeah, well, when I see these self-help books, I wonder if anybody who reads a self-help book ever gets rich as a result of it, or successful, or happy. Now, Joseph Nguyen, and I think the NG together at the start of his surname helps. You think, this guy must have some wisdom because his surname is so hard to pronounce.
Has anyone written a book on how I got wealthy and happy through reading self-help books?
A good point. Absolutely.
Could be a gap in the market, and there's certainly a market in the gap because people love them.
Well, yeah, they've now split them in Waterstones.
Have they?
Yeah, they split them into two categories. One is called self-help, or in fact they don't call it self-help now because they call it something else. But the other one is just called smart thinking. There is a category called smart thinking, which we used to call self-help books.
Isn't smart thinking middle-class self-help?
Anyway, I annoyed the staff in Waterstones by taking pictures of all the smart thinking books. You can get one called The Way of the Tortoise by Matt Little. And do you want to know what the USP of this is?
Yes, of course. Tell me.
Why
Live forever, obviously. And don't take much exercise, I imagine.
No, it's why you have to take the slow lane to get ahead.
But you've tried that, Martin.
I'm very much in the slow lane at the moment. They used to say the only way that I'm in the fast lane is the 8 items or less, they used to call it. We, of course, call it 8 items or fewer in the supermarket. But most of these people are rugby union coaches who do the... I wanted to do that motivational speaking, but I just couldn't be asked.
So how do you win from the slow lane? Does everyone have to crash and burn in the medium and the quick lane?
I've no idea. Matt Little, who I think is a sport guy, there's a recommendation on the front. It says, I really recommend this, a top read by a guy called Ben Ryan. And I did look up who Ben Ryan was, and he is a sports coach, I think American football. His spouse was somebody called Natalie something or other, and they got divorced. So their marriage lasted about 8 years. And I'm just wondering, is that a sign of success, moving on after 8 years?
Back to Joseph Nagayan. Yeah? What did you learn from him?
I learned why your thinking is the beginning and end of suffering. Okay. I learned that if you subscribe, he's got a thing where you can subscribe, rather like I have myself.
Okay.
With my 72 subscribers.
Deep lying plug for your
I presume he's got more than that.
I think
but you get an inspirational quote every day from him, such as, the root cause of our suffering is our own thinking. And he says, don't believe... This coffee is taking you forever to fucking drink. You've just... what is it? Have you got an actual...
I'm trying to stay awake, Martin. Come on.
Yes. I understand.
So I had a look at Joseph Nagayan, and I actually follow his way. I about a couple of weeks ago, I came up with a new phrase. Because I overthink everything. Overthink. Or endlessly overthinking everything, yeah? So my new phrase is to... underthink. If I can just underthink that one, which I think is quite like the Nagayan way. It works very well in meetings. Let's underthink it.
Right.
And do you know where I got this from?
No.
Not from a self-help book. Why self-help books when we're meant to be talking about what we watched on TV? This was from Love is Blind UK, Series 2.
Love is Blind UK. That's something I've not watched. What's that?
Watched a whole lot. Fantastic.
Oh, tell me all about it.
12 people meet up. There's a board so they can only hear each other's voices, and to cut to the chase, they choose who they want to get engaged to before meeting them, and then will they be married in a month's time? Sensational television.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that. What channel is it on?
Well, one that appears on the screen. I think BBC. No, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'll have a look at that. I mean, if my Sky Q box ever gets working again, there's a button
before World War III breaks out.
Yeah, precisely. There's a button that I can press that I can say "Love is Blind UK." So I will. Let me tell you about the paper, which is set in the offices of the Toledo Truth Teller, which used to be. They've got a little bit of archive footage, or pretend archive footage of when it was a proper newspaper. And what it is now is, like all local newspapers, it's clickbait. It's clickbait, and the stories are from AP. What is it? What's I can hear in the background?
Washing machine.
Ah, the washing machine.
That's not my stomach having finished my coffee.
No, I'm just wondering. I just keep on hearing these. I hear the slurping, and then I hear the other sound. So
I can't get a word in edgeways. I'm having to use sound effects to make any impact on this monologue.
No, well, I don't know. Forget the monologue.
Yogurt.
Forget the yogurt. Forget the
long
yogurt.
forgotten pen pals.
Yeah.
in
Interesting.
Mannheim.
My first two girlfriends both had an umlaut in their name.
Did they?
Yeah, well, Hannelore Merbus, who I was a pen pal, really more than a
Is
girlfriend.
that-
Although we did meet up.
Yeah, and that was the end, swift end.
Yeah, more or less. It was a bit of a
Well, you
holiday.
ghosted was an early example of ghosting. She just didn't reply to your pen pal.
I can't remember who didn't reply. It was a holiday romance, really. So we met in Italy, in Rimini.
But she lived in Mannheim. You
She lived
were
in
somewhere in the
Mannheim. I
north.
lived in Manchester, yeah. And we wrote to each other a bit, and then we stopped writing to each other. That's what happened in those days. But then my second girlfriend was called Kata Harbo, with a sort of...
Haribo.
No, it was Harboe, and the O had a diagonal line through it. She was Danish.
Okay.
And so one of the things, it's interesting, my first two girlfriends both had a sort of mutilated...
Quite interesting.
A mutilated O. Tell me about Love is Blind UK, because so far you've not said anything about it except that
I've told you quite a lot about it.
No, it's 12 people, and they can only form a relationship on the sound of their voices. Yeah,
That's right. So they chat to each other, then they decide who to get engaged to. Then they go to Love Island, where they spend time together, and then it's back to England to meet the parents and wedding day.
is this quite an old programme?
This is season 2.
Oh, right. I thought it was something I read about ages ago. It's not Honeymoon Island, is it? There's another thing going on.
I don't think so.
BBC, spending our licence payers' money on. I think our mutual friend Rod Liddell said it was the BBC going to the bottom of the barrel, this one, where they meet on an island and just start shagging or something. The one you're watching is a bit different.
I think it was Netflix. Yeah. Yes, a bit different.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm not very... I haven't got much to say about it, really.
No, fair
I
enough.
thought I had.
Well, I'll tell you about the paper.
Okay, you tell me about the paper.
The paper. The problem with American sitcoms is they always have to have like 27. You pitched them something like Fawlty Towers and said that in 12 episodes it'll be over. They wouldn't be the slightest bit interested because it has to go on forever, and therefore the idea that it's a spoof of a fly on the wall documentary. And it's even the fly on the wall thing has all changed now. When the BBC originally did The Family, and they did a few, I don't know whether the BBC, but whoever originally did The Family, they had real consequences. It really was fly on the wall. There would be a bit of everything. But now, of course, in this the paper, there's only sort of one or two of the actors in it acknowledge that there's a camera crew filming. The thing about Ricky Gervais is that when he did The Office, he would do that sly look to the camera, which was always quite funny, because when he was pleased with himself for something he'd come up with.
Why did they get a camera crew into the office? I can't remember.
No, well, it was just because at the time when they first came up with the idea, there were a few of those. There was the driving, Maureen Rees. Do you remember? She was a driver.
No, I know that, but in the plot, how does it say we've got camera? Do they acknowledge that they're being filmed?
No, not really. I think you knew straight away because the narrative was done in the style of a documentary. So I'm trying to think back to the first episode of The Office with Ricky Gervais, and I think at some point the first bit is him sort of walking to the office. He sits down in a chair. He says, "This is Wernham Hogg, we're the biggest paper suppliers," and then he talks about what he does and how good a boss he is, and that sort of sets it up. And then you have scenes which seem to be just...
What's his line? I'm a friend first, a boss second.
Yeah, I'm an entertainer.
And a third, an entertainer.
Yeah, there was that sort of thing. So, and when he did that, he would do a little side look to the camera to say, look how clever I am, look how great I am, sort of thing. But what I find in the paper, which is a distant relative now, even though they're still getting paid for it, which I think is a brilliant trick. Why the fuck, Will, years ago, didn't you come up with something that we wouldn't need to do any work and still get paid for?
Do you think I'd have shared it with you, Martin?
No, of course you wouldn't.
Well, we did. The big ask.
You've always said to me, I've got a great idea for a brilliant idea, which I've always thought that's quite brilliant until I get to the end of Great Portland Street.
And then think, the Great Portland Street moment. I think the idea of the self-help book, The Man who made a fortune from following self-help books is fantastic. And you get a plug from the person whose book you're saying made you a fortune. Of course you would.
But are self-help books, by and large, for losers? I know over the years...
Be careful about the use of that word, Martin.
I know. You're right. There's pot calling the kettle black, etc., etc. But I know over the years, obviously when I was a single man, I've known a number of girls who, the sort
With
of girls...
umlauts.
Sorry? What are we saying?
A number of girls with umlauts.
I've known a number of girls on. Let's forget the umlaut girls. This is past the umlaut girls.
Okay.
And these are now the teddy bear girls. These are girls that had teddy bears in their bedroom. And
Crikey. Hang on, Martin. How young did you start?
No, not at all. I'm talking about in my 20s. I think I married till I was 30-something or other. So I'm talking about the single years, really. Yeah. Basically, the sort of girl whose bedroom was like the inside of their tote bag. So there were teddy bears in there. They were the girls who said, the book that they were, after a little while, they would tell you about the book that they were running their life by, that was changing them from being losers to being not losers.
And was it The Female Eunuch by Germaine Greer?
Wasn't usually that. It was usually how to do something and stop doing something. It was how to live your life and not... I mean, I wish I could remember the classic titles. They'll be in the top 10 best-selling books of all time. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance wasn't one of them, but I knew a lot of... That
wasn't a girl's book, really.
No, that wasn't. That was a boy's book. That was the boy's equivalent of the How to Stop Crying.
How about the Dice Man? Would that qualify as a boy's one?
Think of some girls' ones. There were a load of those. Well, I wish we'd researched this, because...
I had no idea you'd start talking about your girlfriends from the early 60s.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose I did have an idea. 50s, 40s, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how far
just
back
after the war. Just after the war.
After the war.
You see, we were all having a lot of sex just after the war because of what we'd gone through, really. A Korean War, I'm talking about, obviously.
You went through that, really. You suffered during the Korean War, Martin,
didn't you?
Did.
You remember that? I was asking you, if you would, Will, not to have so many obscure references like Paul Morley. Do you remember the last one we did? You brought up Paul Morley, who was on television a lot and in the newspapers a lot, wasn't he, in the 90s, would you say?
Yeah,
80s?
Okay, but you're coming up with books from the 60s.
Anyway, I thought, I know I've got a Paul Morley book somewhere, because I was on a panel thing with him years ago. And indeed I do. It's called The North, and almost everything in it. Yeah, The North and almost everything. Do you know how many pages this book's got? It's a huge bloody doorstep of a book. And it's got...
And you went straight to the index, and are you there?
No, I went straight to the index on behalf of my friend Andy Kershaw, who I was sure should be in there, because, New Order, Tony Wilson, there's all those Manchester references in there. And I found that there was no Andy Kershaw in there. But there were two Kershaw references, one of which was Stanley Kershaw. Do you know what Stanley Kershaw is?
No, not at all.
No, of course. He says...
What, you're criticising me for coming up with Paul Morley on the last one, and you're now picking up the least memorable person from the whole of the index in a Paul Morley book?
Yes, correct. He's talking first of all about Karl Marx, who, as you know, is buried in Highgate Cemetery. Yes. Of course I knew, this is him talking about a conversation he's had with somebody, but were you aware, I said, that Cheadle Crematorium holds the ashes of Stanley Kershaw, patenter of the Kershaw double gusset?
Blimey, double gussets. I know where we're here. We're going back into umlaut territory.
Yeah, the Kershaw double gusset, to my mind, a far bigger boon than communism. But so there's a lot of stuff in it about the clothing.
Could you handle industry. A Kershaw double gusset in your glory days?
In my glory days, I could probably handle that. Yeah, these days,
less call for it one way and another.
Very little call for it. But anyway, that's my take on the paper. My take on the paper is that they've spoilt the idea. Although there are one or two funny lines there, and Domhnall Gleeson, who's what we would call a Nepo baby.
Is he Brendan Gleeson's son?
He is indeed. And he played the brother of one of the characters in Harry Potter, the ginger-haired one in Harry Potter.
The Weasleys.
The Weasleys. Ron Weasley was the character. He played Bill Weasley, who was the brother of Ron Weasley. Presumably as a child, that's where he started, but he is the main character, and he's quite good. He's the main character in the paper, which I'm not knocking. It's one of those very comforting American sitcoms, which I know I always used to have a go at my daughter when she would be doing some work. This is my youngest daughter, you know, the one that I like.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
she'd be doing some work and she'd have Friends on the TV. And she said, "Oh, well, you can put an episode of Friends on." You know, she'd have seen all the episodes loads of times. But she says, and it's just sort of like background.
Of course it is. It just takes up that tiny bit of your noggin. My daughters are the same.
Yeah.
It's like having Martin Kelner's radio show on in the background. You're not listening.
No,
It's just
precisely.
background noise.
Hey, all of you not listening. Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. But Friends is one of those. Then The American Office sort of became one of those. And now the paper. So it's diluted even further. And the fact that half of them don't. But I'm not saying it's not good. It's okay. And
All right.
it's,
Okay.
you know, and Friends, I think, was like that. Friends was sort of okay. Years ago, I was working for Jazz FM, and I was plugging Seinfeld and Larry Sanders, which was sort of late night on a Tuesday on BBC Two, and the boss said, "Oh, you should watch Friends. You'll love it." And of course,
Very different show.
Very different. I didn't love it at all.
Hank, I've always seen you as a bit of a Hank to my Larry Sanders.
Really?
Yes.
See, I'd see it the other way around, but
Funny
you
that.
know,
But yeah.
yes, it's odd, isn't it? So, what a character, though, Hank. What a character.
Exactly. Just like you, Martin.
Rip
I can see you
Torn.
writing your thoughts at the end of the show. Didn't Hank have his thoughts?
I don't remember
With
that
his
bit.
dictaphone where he used to go, another memo to self, good idea. It's very like this.
Do you do that? I do that sort of thing.
No, exactly. That's why you're more Hank than I am. I Hank you.
Yeah, I'm not sure I am more high. Well, maybe we'll put this to a public vote. You know, we're now 150th.
We have to have a quorum.
Yes, well, maybe we have. We're 150th in the film and TV podcast chart. Where we fit into the film, and God bless Acast for deciding that we are a film and TV podcast. I think it's only because of the artwork. Where the girls with umlauts in their name comes into film and TV, I don't know, but I'm always tempted when I'm talking to you, Will, to go through stuff like, you know, normally this would be more structured. And I think that's your fault rather than mine.
Well, how can it possibly be my fault? I've barely got with the umlauts and the yogurts and the no, not a chance.
Well, you could have. The opportunity was there on Love Is Blind. What's it? Love Is Blind UK.
Did I miss an open goal there?
I think you did a bit.
Okay.
I mean, I'd like to know about some of these people and whether the marriages worked.
Well, that's you have to wait for a year later.
Ah, right. So they will come back with what's happening.
They have a
later.
sort of update. It's a bit like 7 Up. That was a good fly on the wall documentary.
Yes, that was, wasn't it? And it was one of those things, like when Big Brother first started, it was going to be a social experiment. That lasted.
It was in a way.
Well, it was precisely. But then a season later, it was no longer a social experiment. It was just, you know, we just wanted to see Vanessa Feltz.
But that was when the celebrities took over. But I think it was still an experiment because it was an experiment as to how many people would watch it. And then how much of it they would watch. Because some people would watch it round the clock. They'd have it on in the background, like the Martin Kelner show.
Yes, was it? Yeah, well, you could.
It was like long-form sport, you see. I think there's a market for watching things where, I mean, people would literally watch people sleeping.
Absolutely. How big is this cup? How big is this cup of coffee?
I finished my coffee.
Well, what are you slurping now? Are you having your fucking breakfast?
I want another coffee, but I'm not going to go. So people would. You must be Hank. You must be used to this. Watching people sleep. I mean, you've been on stages where the audience have been drifting off.
Yes.
That was, so they'd watch people sleep in the hope that they might wake up. It's like Test cricket or County Championship cricket more.
Yes.
So or the Tour de France or the Vuelta, which is going on at the moment.
The Vuelta is going on at the moment. But
it's like long-form sport or the round-the-world yacht race. It's a big market.
Do you think so? I'm not sure that the market is that big. I know cycling, the people I know who are keen cyclists, my son-in-law was very keen on it. He will watch La Vuelta and he'll watch Tour de France, basically, but he'll only dip into it for seconds. Just watch it to see how it's going. And that will be, he won't carry on watching it. When they had, who was the great commentator who's sadly no longer with us?
Is it David?
Yes, David Duffield.
Duffield,
David Duffield,
yes.
The Duff
Fine
Meister.
man. Yeah, I travelled around France with David Duffield.
Oh, did you? I only watched him as or when I was writing a column about sport on TV.
He was an endurance commentator. You see, we've got so many co-coms and this, that, and the other, and panelists at half time, and so many adverts to get in. The purity of one man, David Duffield, doing a whole Tour de France, yeah? He'd get a rest day on a Monday, say the cyclist needed one and he needed one. But that's 5 or 6 hours monologue. I mean, you could do it. It could be your way back, Martin. Hank, you could say it. I'll do the whole thing. You'll save money, yeah? Get rid of Hansen and Carragher and whoever. Is Hansen still going? No. Is he
no, he's not. He's not. No. Well, I don't think.
Carragher, Neville, get rid of all of them. It'll just be Kelner taking you through. I think it could be Kelner. A bit like Archie Macpherson in his box in Paris, he did whole Olympics. He would do 2 or 3 sports at the same time, flicking channels, no notes.
And he's a legend, isn't he?
He was a legend. He became quite bad-tempered by the end. I suppose sitting in a box in Paris watching multiple sports with no
I mean, he probably, and I'm just projecting here, became bad-tempered because some smart-ass from the Observer or the Daily Express was in his fucking box making smart-ass comments.
I took him out for lunch. He was very happy.
I knew you'd done that. I knew he was bad-tempered because he had to lunch with some smart-ass from the Observer.
Not only did I rescue him from his box, I fed and watered him. Yeah.
Was he a waterman? He struck me as though he was more of an alcohol man.
It was wine, of course. It was
wine in those days. It was, wasn't it? Did I ever tell you Andy Kershaw's comment about BBC meetings? No. He came out, I was meeting him at the front of Broadcasting House, and he'd been in some BBC meeting, and he said, Andy always tended to be a wee bit sexist, so I said, what was the meeting like? He said, it was full of BBC plain Janes reeking of Perrier water.
Reeking of Perrier water?
Reeking of Perrier water.
You can get £19 bottles of water now, can't you?
It's like one.
But what does Perrier water can't smell of anything?
No, that's the whole point. And you're missing the point of the joke, is that there's no wine at BBC meetings these days. It's just water. That is the joke. Reeking of Perrier water.
People with a...
Yes. What I'll do is I'll edit the bit out of you missing the joke.
I don't think I missed
I'll
the
leave
joke.
it in, actually.
It's good. I can get better at jokes, Martin. Thank you.
Yes.
So meetings. I've had a theory about meetings, particularly creative ones. They are set up. This scrolls back to you talking about the paper. They're set up to reward people who don't have a creative idea. They have opinions, but they don't have creative ideas. So if you go to a paper conference meeting, the people doing the thinking or talking would go, okay, World War III happening in Poland, I've got a view on that, this, that, and that. They've got all these opinions, which will be the same as the opinions that similar people are having at other papers. Yeah? But the genuinely creative person won't have the confidence to speak up.
Yeah.
The underthinker won't have the... because they won't, because they'll have doubt, you see. It's all this certainty. The people of certainty dominate meetings.
Yeah.
Them and those that smell of Perrier water, apparently.
It's a good point you make there. The paper, they do the meeting thing from time to time. And there's always one. This is the guy played by Tim Key, who's very, very good.
He's very funny, Tim.
Yes,
have you seen his latest film? It's meant to be very good.
No, I've not seen it yet. I'd love to see it. Something Wallace Island.
That's something like that, yeah. No, I'd like to see that, but he's really good in this. But he's the guy in the meeting who will sort of nix anything that involves spending money.
He's the guy who's there and thinking, that's a good idea.
Managing editor, I think.
Managing editor, yeah. He does that.
Had some run-ins with them. Yeah.
Yes, we all have. He does that part. But brilliant, Will, for bringing it back to the paper, which is what we're reviewing this week. I'm trying to do it now. I'm trying to make it like late review on Radio 4. We've been talking about...
It's a bit of a stretch.
This is a bit. Yes, but I can do the voice.
Can you?
We've been talking this week about the paper on Sky TV and girls with umlauts in their names. Peter Sellers lampooned that years and years ago on the 1955 or 56 LP. There's a track called The Critics. And
you exclusively use material from before I was born, and this is your new tactic, Hank. You're just chopping me off at the knees, and they say, "Have you got a view on that?" No, Martin, I didn't exist at that time. On managing editors, that was one of the few times I got the better of one. I'm a keen reader of horoscopes. Okay,
I
believe in yes, particularly the Sun one. Justin Toper, who was at Dear Deirdre. Yeah, of course, because
Dear Deirdre is the problem page.
Oh, good point. Yes, but maybe my horoscopes were a problem.
That's why. You've had such a fucked up life, Will. You've been reading.
Since I started underthinking things, I'm following the guy more than you are. Yeah, you just sniff and laugh at him and say, "Why aren't you in graded thinking rather than in how-to or whatever that delineation you had before you were kicked out of Waterstones?" Has anyone ever been kicked out of Waterstones?
Only me.
Only you. Yeah. What were you doing? You weren't doing Pee Wee Herman, were you?
No, I wasn't doing a Pee Wee Herman.
You weren't doing it.
I wasn't doing a Gerald Sinstad either.
I still have to tell me at some stage what Sinstad did. Can I finish my anecdote? This is my first chance to tell anything. Yeah. So I read a horoscope because, on the whole, they give you a reason to get out of bed in the morning. Because, on the whole, they're quite positive. They are how-to books in little gobbets of information, specialised for you, and it says you will meet someone with an umlaut. In your case, endlessly. What star sign are you, Martin? It must have been all umlauts. You will meet someone with an O with a line across it. So you think, it's worth getting out of bed. Yeah. It's not the hope that kills you, it's the hope that gets you out of bed. So they tend to be positive. Or you'll meet someone with something will go right with it. So one morning I woke up and it said, "A very good day to ask for a pay rise." So I stormed into the managing editor's office at the paper and put a copy of the paper, just put it in front of her. And she goes, "Why are you showing me the Sun? Well, what's going on now?" And I said, "I'm a Leo, read it." And she read it, said, "Good day to ask for a pay rise." And you know what? She gave me one. She laughed and she gave me one.
Blimey.
Yeah.
What paper was that?
That was the Observer.
Well done. That's why the Observer's gone to shit, because...
I don't think you can blame it all on one quite small pay rise, yeah? But I've managed to combine that piece of how-to advice, how to get a pay rise, within a newspaper setting. Whoa. So I've combined both your little thoughts.
I say this week we've been reviewing the paper on Sky TV and not much else. Oh, and Love is Blind UK on BBC.
Netflix, I think.
Netflix, we think. We're that accurate that we think it could be Netflix or some other shit. Well, can I say it's been a delight? I'm sorry I've dominated so much, but it's a while since
you've got a lot to say.
Yeah, I've got a lot to say, and
I'm not going gently into the night.
Fucking not going gently into that.
This is what you're good at going long. That's why you should be the man doing the long endurance commentary stint.
Yeah, I've just come. I'm fresh from doing two 4-hour overnight shows with not a lot of content in them. So I'm used to filling.
Yeah, filling the gap.
Yeah, but don't worry, I'll edit a lot of that stuff out. So
it's gold. It's gold, Martin.
Well, I'll edit out the stuff that isn't gold. Will, as always, been an absolute pleasure.
Complete pleasure, Martin.
This is such fun. It's such fun for me. This is therapy.
I see you as Archie Macpherson stuck in your box. I'm coming to save you. It's sort of like
God bless
Isn't
you.
it?
God bless
Social
you.
worker. I see it more like social work.
Yeah, excellent.
Okay, Martin.
There we go. We'll talk again
Take
very
care.
soon.
Yeah, okay. Bye.
You've been listening to Screen Break with Martin Kelner and Will Buckley. Leave Martin and Will a review or rating, and please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. You can use the hashtag ScreenBreak to talk about the show on socials, and for exclusive content, head to martinkellner.substack.com.